Good morning from Orlando here in Florida. For once it's a nice sunny day because for the past 2 weeks of my holiday it's been nothing but hurricane season, and so it's been raining, it's been cloudy, not so nice, and so we've still got another week left, so hopefully in that last week we'll have nice, gorgeous, sunny weather. While I've got this nice weather, I'm just walking down to the local gym here on my estate where I'm staying at the moment to hopefully enjoy the gym. That's if it's open, because today, while I'm recording this, it is Thanksgiving, so we'll see how that goes. While I'm walking down to the gym, I decided it would be a good idea to make a little video and to talk about looking up words when reading in another language, because I did a video only the other day about just reading in general and the power of reading basically in another language, and basically saying that you should read in other languages when you're learning. So typically I would advise, if you're reading in another language and you come across a word that you don't understand, happy Thanksgiving. Cool, thank you. You come across a word that you don't understand, it's normally best not to worry about looking it up straight away and to just try and read along. And the first thing I would say is to try and understand the word from context. So if you're reading and you come across one word in a sentence that you don't understand, if you can understand that word through context, i.e. from the other words in the sentence, you can then deduct what that word may mean, then that's a really good thing you can do right there, because basically being able to guess the meaning of something and getting it right is basically a really great way of learning a language, because you're actually using your brain to figure something out as opposed to just being told something. So in that respect, if you could do that when reading, it works out really well. If you can't do this and you're looking at a sentence and there's a word you can't figure out, then normally I just finish off the chapter and see how much I can actually understand. Sometimes by reading a sentence or two ahead, you can go back and go, I understand that word I didn't understand because maybe it popped up again and it was in a slightly different context in another sentence, and all of a sudden you could just understand it. But if you still finish the chapter and you can't understand the word or various words that you can't understand, then the best thing to do then is to go ahead and look up those words. But I wouldn't stress about looking up every single word that you come across that you don't know. Typically it's better if you come across a word multiple times in different situations before looking up the meaning, just so you're not spending as much time looking up words and their meaning, and instead more time just reading and keeping up the flow of reading. When you come across a word multiple times and you finally get some curiosity to go, I really want to know what this particular word means because I've seen it now in 4, 5, 6 different situations, different sentences, you're more likely to not only look up the word, but also to be more curious about the word and therefore remember it better as well, because you've also seen it in various different situations. Then from there, when you've looked it up and you realize, oh, this word means whatever it means, you can then apply it back to the sentences you can remember and go, makes so much more sense now that I know what the word means. That way you're not looking it up 5 or 6 different individual times, but you look it up the once after you've seen it 5 or 6 times, and hopefully you'll remember it better. Sometimes you may read a chapter and see the same word 7, 8, 9 or more times, because the word may just be a very popular word, may just be a very well used word. And in that case, feel free to look it up. But for me, the main thing is I only look up words really when I feel curious to do so. It's not just looking up a word just because it's a new word that I don't know, but it's a word because I'm curious about it and I'll just want to know what it means. Unless I'm on the link, of course, and then I'm obviously looking up every word I come across, otherwise I'll mark it off as known. If we're talking about just paper books and just reading in paper form, then don't spend too much time looking up words. If you do this, motivation is going to go down, your flow of reading is going to go down, just everything is not going to go well. You're going to be reading, you're going to be spending most of your time just looking up words, and you could do that without reading anyway. You can just flick through a dictionary and find random words, but it's not time well spent. Time spent well is to read a lot, and just to come across these words and let them sink in. You don't necessarily need to know what every single word means in a language, and you don't need to know what they mean in order to enjoy a book or to read and carry on reading the book. For the most part, this is what I do. I look up words when I've seen them multiple times in different situations, and when I'm curious, that's when I'll look up a word. But sometimes I am in the mood to read less, look up more. And it's good to always do things like this. It's good to always change up how you do your language learning. For example, using LingQ, I do this. I do less reading and more looking up, because the app is built for that and it's easy for me to do so. I don't spend 5 minutes at a time looking up an individual word's meaning. When I'm reading paper form, I plow through every single chapter, every single page, every single sentence, and I just do my best to read and understand what I'm reading, and maybe I'll go back and reread that chapter again and again. I'll spend so much less time in paper form looking up because it is just, as I've already said, a waste of time. I'm already here at the gym and I'm gonna see if it's open. Okay, anyone can tell me what the hell, when this car passes, what the hell is this animal? See if we can walk closer without disturbing it too much. It's like a turkey duck thing, but it's really bizarre. I've been to Florida now like 6 times and not once have I seen one of these until now. They're massive as well. Alright, I'm gonna back off. It's just there chilling in the road. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it's called. It's a duck of some sort. But I'm just curious. Anyone knows, let me know. A little lizard as well. You see a lot of these lizards about as well, but these are pretty typical. I don't want to get too close because they run really quick. It's only a little baby lizard. But they're cool, man. You just don't get this kind of thing back home in England. There's another one over here. See that scary? There's loads of them about. There's another one over here, but I don't want to get too close and disturb him. Yeah, I don't know. It's just cool looking at these little animals as you walk down the street. This is the inside of the social club right now. It's not a bad place. Pretty nice place. The gym is through into here. There are some people in there, so I won't film too much. And over here you have all these different leaflets, some of which are in Spanish. So we can take this and learn more Spanish through simple and hopefully effective reading. This is the gym. It's a pretty basic gym, not much to it. Bike, bench, weights, and then a few other cardio machines. And the football match, Brazil versus Serbia currently. I've just done 6 or 7 minutes on this. Time to hit some weights. There's me. Yeah, boy. So we have this little area which has, if I turn around, a small little selection of books. Maybe I could call it a library, maybe I can't. We have so many books here, which as far as I can tell, they're all in English. I've looked at all of them. There seems to be none in other languages apart from this book, which to me seems to be in Norwegian, I think. It's one of the Scandinavian languages, but I'm pretty sure it's Norwegian. The weird thing is, if I go to the front page, it's missing the first 296 pages. Someone's ripped it out because it's feeling a little bit worn. Yeah, if I look here, there's a very American book there, but they're all in English from what I can tell. And I'll put this back in its location. But no Spanish, no Polish, no Japanese or any other language apart from Norwegian and English. Otherwise though, this is quite a nice little room to sit down and enjoy a nice little book. Quick gym session over and done with. I needed to do that because I've been here in the US now for about 3 weeks and all I've done is eat nothing but the biggest amount of food I could. Because while in the US, eat big food because their food is pretty tasty for the most part, unless you go really cheap, then not so good. But a lot of it's really fattening, a lot of it's just unhealthy for you, like full of salt, full of sugars, full of fat, full of everything that we just don't even experience it here in Europe. And so because of that, I needed to get some exercise in. I managed to grab the Spanish one because it was available, and also the Portuguese one because I'm not learning Portuguese at the moment, but at some point I will be probably looking into Portuguese, possibly even next year, just to become more acquainted with the language. You know, I already know a decent amount of Spanish. I'm learning currently French. Portuguese seems like a sensible option for me to look into at some point, as well as like Italian. But because of South America and having Brazil, and obviously people come from Brazil, they have the Portuguese option as well as the Spanish option available in like maps and things, but they're the only two things that were translated into other languages. There was nothing else, like none of the other maps, for example, like the NASA Kennedy Space Center thing, it wasn't in Spanish, and so I didn't take any of those, but I took whatever I could, which was just these two, Spanish and Portuguese. Light reading, nothing too difficult, but it's real authentic language that you can read, and you know, the grammar's all there, and yeah, it's just easy to read. And again, it ties back into what I was saying earlier. If you come across a word that you don't understand, like if I opened up the Spanish one, like I did just a second ago, with one hand I can't really do it so well, I came across a word like disfruta, and you know, if you like forget, oh, what does disfruta mean, just carry on reading it, and maybe it will pop in your head, oh yeah, it means enjoy. And I've just unraveled it, and now I can't ravel it back up. A relatively easy word, in my opinion, personally, to remember is disfruta, but maybe for some people disfruta has no correlation with the word enjoy in English, and so it's harder to remember, or disfrutar is the verb, and so, you know, some people may not remember it so easily. I know the word personally because I've read it so many times in different books, in different situations. It literally just sticks in my head, and because I've read it so many times in different forms and stuff, I basically know that verb very well, same as hablar and, you know, all these other words that you know when you're learning Spanish, especially, again, in my opinion, very simple vocabulary, but you remember it so much more easily if you just read a lot, and if you read these words in context, as I have done, especially with, for example, disfrutar. So when it comes to me learning Portuguese, for example, I now have this simple thing to read, plus also I have the Portuguese and Spanish, so I can translate the Portuguese into the Spanish if it helps me, so I understand what it says rather than using a Google Translate or something. That way it helps my Spanish and Portuguese at the same time when it comes to trying to read both of them. And for that reason I didn't get the English version, but if my Spanish, for example, wasn't so good, I would have picked up the English version as well, so I can try and translate page per page or whatever, so I can at least understand what's being written down or what I'm trying to read even. So yeah, in this situation, because there are any little pamphlets, when I come across a word that I don't know, most probably I'll highlight them or underline them, read the entire thing, and then come back and look them up, and then try and read it again, see how much more I can understand. I will also be picking up other leaflets and pamphlets from other parks and things that I visit in the remaining 8 days or so of my trip here in the US. These big birds that are behind me, they're some kind of Floridian crane. I avoided them because they can attack. They can be pretty dangerous. I don't know if you could tell or not. They're huge birds. So yeah, I was just walking along, minding my own business on this fairly long road, and yeah, there were just two cranes, and they put me at a standstill. I had to cross the road and come back, as you just saw in that little clip there. So yeah, sometimes when you're in other countries, you forget the wildlife can be just a little bit more exotic, a little bit more dangerous than what maybe you may be used to back home, especially if you live in the UK, where there's just literally zero dangerous animals around. But that is going to be it for this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you found some value in this video. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments section down below, and we'll out of the way. Thank you so much. I'm going to enjoy the remaining of this Thanksgiving day by drinking beer, swimming pool, etc. Just relax, because nothing's open anyway, so we can't even do anything today, even if we wanted to. So might as well celebrate it the best we can while it's a free day. Enjoy the rest of my holiday, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video for another one. Until then, thank you for watching, and peace out.